Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Keith, and I got a question for you. Have you ever been given feedback before? Of course you have. We all have. Perhaps it was something like, you need to follow through with your swing. Or maybe it was something like, you need to apply yourself more. Now, in the example of DC Comics, I think the feedback they've been getting is, you need to make better movies. So one of the challenges with DC is that they were on a roll. They had the Dark Knight trilogy, Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises, and then things just seemed to fall off the rails. Man of Steel came out, which was not a great movie, and then they followed that up with Batman vs Superman, a decent movie in my opinion, but there were a lot of people who were turned off just at the fact that Ben Affleck was playing Batman. Now, I have no problem with Ben Affleck, and I thought it was a very good movie, and whether you agreed that you liked it or you didn't, it still didn't catch on. I don't run into people talking about, ooh, I can't wait to see the next Batman Superman movie. Now, all that might change with the release of their new movie that's sure to be a hit, Suicide Squad. Now, the challenging aspect of Suicide Squad is we're putting together a bunch of characters that people might not be familiar with. You're familiar with the Batmans and the Supermans and the Iron Mans and the Captain Americas. These superheroes are household names. But how many people are familiar with Deadshot? Or Boomerang? Or Diablo? I can say that I wasn't. Now, of course, those people looking at this, jumping up and down to read comic books, I get it. But for the masses, I don't necessarily think Deadshot's a household name. Now, one of the aspects of this movie that made it really impressive was, first of all, they got a great writer and director, David Ayer, the same person behind End of Watch. Remember that intense movie? Well, he brought that intensity to the superhero world. And he also rounded up some pretty good stars. He's got Academy Award nominee Will Smith, two-time Academy Award nominee Viola Davis. He also has Margot Robbie and Jared Leto in this cast as well, not to mention Joel Kinnaman. Of course, some of you might remember Joel Kinnaman as his turn in RoboCop. I, of course, remember him from his turn in the role on the TV show The Killing. Now, in this movie, we have the baddest of the bad villains that are brought together for a super secret, task force. Now, you think to yourself, why in the world would the world's worst criminals want to help? And I'm not going to tell you how they were able to get them to do it, but the way they did it was very clever, and then you're thinking to yourself, yeah, that makes sense. Now, this movie was really entertaining. I mean, Will Smith, of course, is box office gold, but now he's delivered in a superhero movie that he can look back on and say, I killed it. Sorry, Hancock, but this movie was so much better. Jared Leto does a really good job as the Joker, and I would say as good a job as he can. The problem is that if you've seen The Dark Knight, you know that the best Joker of all time, in my humble opinion, was the late Heath Ledger. I'd even put him over Jack Nicholson in his portrayal in Tim Burton's Batman. I just loved Heath Ledger, but coming into this role, Jared Leto really did a good job. Nailed a lot of the different idiosyncrasies that you would expect in the Joker and did a really good job with it. Margot Robbie, though, is the absolute scene stealer in this movie. Now, it's very easy to think of Margot Robbie and think of her in her roles as playing the very seductive wife in The Wolf on Wall Street or the con artist in Training and Focus. But in this movie, she's just completely wacky and nutty. And if you think she's delivering the best lines in the trailer, you haven't seen anything yet. I absolutely commend her range for being able to take on this role as Harley Quinn and just be so off the map. She's just fantastic in this. The movie, like any superhero movie, has aspects of it that might seem a little over the top. But it's hard to think of a superhero movie being over the top when we see some superhero movies where a guy's got a big shield and he's swinging it around, or a guy's got a hammer, or some guy can fly. So you can't really look at Suicide Squad and say, oh, it's not realistic. You're at a superhero movie. The other comment that I'll make about this is I saw it in 2D. I don't necessarily know if it's worth 3D or IMAX, not because of the movie, just because I'm skeptical of those formats at this point. But what you need to do is make sure you go and check it out, because this is the best DC movie since The Dark Knight Rises. I'm not saying it's as good as The Dark Knight Rises, but I'm saying this is the type of movie that should have followed up The Dark Knight Rises, not Man of Steel. David Ayer did a fantastic job directing this A-list cast. I think this is the type of movie that you'll go to and you'll really enjoy. And understanding that I need to speak to different segments, let me say this. Ladies, if you want to see a handsome man with his shirt off, Will Smith won't disappoint. Gentlemen, if you want to see an attractive woman with her shirt on, Margot Robbie won't disappoint. And collectively, if you want to see a really entertaining movie, Suicide Squad's the movie for you. A- is what this movie gets from me, and I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. Feel free to reach out to me, CFL_fan on Twitter. So feel free to follow me, send me some tweets, as well as facebook.com/WittyWhittier and WittyWhittier.com. I really appreciate your time as always. Thank you so much for checking this out. Until next time, my name is Keith, and I'll see you at the movies.